afternoon, everybody, from sunny sub-Saharan Manchester. We have such a beautiful day today. I've decided to do today's show from outside in the back of my garden in Manchester, and that's nothing to do with the fact that I have or haven't locked myself out of the house. I know you're all worried, but I do have a pack of Monster Munch to keep me going, to keep my levels up. Anyway, after that professional introduction, let's go.
Simon crashed because he's outside. That's what's happened.
I think it has.
Well, let me ask you to introduce yourself then, Richard, whilst Simon is frozen in his back garden.
Thank you, Nick. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Richard Meggs and I'm the MD of Assured Sale and Progression. I suspect myself and Nick are going to have to entertain you for the next, hopefully. I was padding. Not very well.
Absolutely, still seamless. That's still just down to Virgin Network, to be honest. So I'm still shouting them. Yes, gents. Sorry, we were where we were going with that. I was just saying, do you still get tired, Nick, of talking about the awards that you won?
Never get tired of it. Never. I want more. You know, it's like a drug.
Good. Well, we'll come back, as they used to say about Paul Daniels. Why does the multi-award-winning U Move team up with ASAP? And we'll get to that. So I'll leave you to think about that in a second.
Yeah.
Richard, how are you? Richard Megson from ASAP. How are you? You're looking delightfully elegant there.
Well, I'm about to look a lot more delightful.
Hey!
Now, I might look like a prat, but there you go. I am going to wear this throughout, Mr. Well, as a nod to kerfuffle. I'm very chipper. I'm very well.
There's a little bit of Donald Trump about you there, Richard.
Really?
Did you not see my election special limited edition kit, Nick? I had Make Whaley Great Again and Keep Kerfuffle Great. So yeah, anyway, I think they've been burnt by now. Okay, guys, look, let's talk about it. So, Richard, can we first of all just talk about the service that you provide, just to tee it up for anyone that obviously doesn't know you guys already? That'd be really important. So, well, let's start with Richard. Obviously, can you just give an overview of ASAP first and foremost?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll try to be sensible wearing this stupid bloody hat. I have been promised some merch by Kerfuffle, but by the way, it's not yet arrived.
Okay, right. We deliver.
So yeah. Right, serious head on. So yeah, we're Assured Sale and Progression. We work with estate agents throughout the country. We've been operating for 6 years now. Our role is basically to assist agents with the heavy lifting of sales progression and ultimately speed up transactions. It's been a very challenging year for us all, the last sort of 6 months particularly so, but I'm very much cup half full. So really enjoying the challenge of the current market. I'm pretty optimistic about the future, I have to say.
And you've seen a lot of growth, to be fair, haven't you? I mean, regardless, you're on a upward trajectory, but even more so. And I think, unsurprisingly, really, isn't it, when people are, they've furloughed staff, they've come back actually probably with less staff, but they're doing more than ever before. So services like yours that they can dip into, try it, and then actually, obviously, where you're hoping is they see enough value in it to stay with you long term and put more and more of their cases through you.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, we've pretty much doubled in terms of size, clients, which in itself has been a challenge, but really exciting. But yeah, I mean, it's all about listening to what clients want. We've sort of pivoted in terms of the service that we offer, complete flexibility, either where the agents can utilize our conveyancing proposition as well as a sales progression, or sales progression only, and or overflow. So what we're trying to do is provide a very flexible solution, because every agent's got slightly different needs.
So it is, it's not just a one size fits all proposition, is it? You very much listen to the agency and build the proposition around them.
Yeah, very much so. And the pivot was to offer standalone sales progression, which until about 6 months ago we hadn't done. But I've spent a lot of time on webinars listening to
Me, probably.
I wasn't going to include you, but yeah, I have listened to you a lot, Simon. Some fairly high-powered, influential people. I know you're number 3, but I've been listening to number 1 as well, Peter Knight.
I think if I have many episodes like this, I'm going to be dropping fairly quickly.
I know they'll get invited back. So no, we've done a lot of listening. We engage obviously with our clients, and what we're trying to deliver is what they want, as opposed to what we think they want.
Okay, cool. And Nick, hopefully that reconciles with what you experienced from ASAP, or this just got really awkward. Obviously, just give us a bit of background about you as a business, though, just so people who don't know so much about you move, just give an idea of the size and scale of the business.
Sorry, Simon.
Cool. So YouMove is a franchise business. We've got about 120 franchise operators all over the UK and about 250 people working on the ground. And at the moment, we've got stock volume of around 3,500 properties that are either for sale or to let, or sold subject to contract, and a good number of those go through ASAP. So our franchisees are encouraged to place the solicitor work through ASAP. So we've got a panel of solicitors that sit behind that, which they will farm the work out to. The beauty there is that all of those solicitors work to a very similar process, which enables ASAP to progress the sales very, very quickly. And something Rich and I have been measuring and monitoring very closely over a good number of years now is how long does it take our cases to complete that are handled by ASAP versus how long does it take for cases to complete that are not? Because some customers want to use their own solicitors, that's fine. We don't force this through the customer end. And we tend to find that on average, it's about 3 weeks that we save if those cases go through ASAP. And if you think about it, it's absolutely insane. So if you think about pipeline turnover, sales turnover, the amount of time, effort and energy that our estate agent franchisees can save by not having a client to manage for an extra 3 weeks times 50 or 100 units that they'll put through their business every year, that enables them to just sell more stock. So that time saving has a real significant value, let alone the customer benefit through quicker transactions and be able to move on and all this kind of stuff. So we know that's a stressful time of a move, and if we reduce the time that stressful period is going on for, then so much the better.
It's just total win-win, isn't it, there? And what's really interesting about that is, look, this is a proposition for all agents, but actually your particular model as well, it's tailor-made, isn't it, for that element? These are busy people. They're trying to focus on just, get the listing done, progress that, all the way through, and then you can hand off this, what is always a tricky part of the process, albeit arguably the most necessary part of it, to experts that can specialise.
Yeah, and actually that's an important point because it's not such a hard sort of handoff in terms of the customer relationship. So we sell our proposition very clearly to our consumers, our vendors, that we will hold their hand from the very first time they inquire about selling their house with us through to the appraisal. We do all of the viewings and we speak to the customers on our one-to-one. So typically a vendor will have the mobile number of the one agent that they are working with, and that relationship is very, very strong. So we don't just disappear as soon as the offer is in the bag and move on to the next one. But we do rely very heavily on the team at ASAP to do the sales progression work, because it's absolutely pointless, our agents who are sales guys at the end of the day, trying to talk to solicitors and all this and just get that kind of bulk, just necessary admin work done. So we will always maintain a relationship with our vendors, but we're not spending hours and hours and hours chasing people down, because that's completely low value work as far as we're concerned, high value work as far as Richard and his team are concerned. And as far as the customer is sort of aware, we've got a nice intro to the ASAP sales progressor.
Yeah.
So that personal relationship isn't lost, but things get done very quickly. The customer likes it, they understand how it works, and it's a really good sort of proposition or a package of solutions for our vendors.
And do you present that as a white label? So essentially, Richard's team are phoning up as YouMove, or do you keep the separate branding as ASAP and just it's an understanding these are the experts who handle this side of things?
No, we introduce ASAP as ASAP. They say we will say to them that it's very much an embedded service within the YouMove end-to-end proposition, but it is a separate company, and there's a very real reason for that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't pretend to be a surveyor and do a building survey. You introduce a company that knows what they're doing, don't you? And, you don't introduce lawyers pretending to be YouMove agents. They're not. So customers know and understand and expect that specialists are required. And we're happy to say ASAP are the best in the business, and we work with them because they get the job done quicker. And more importantly, something I haven't touched on, we lose less. So sometimes sales get tricky, and that's why we do always maintain a relationship with buyer and seller, because if there is a commercial renegotiation, something wrong with the survey, or the chain, there's a bit of a problem, wherever we will always have the agents manage the commercial side of those problems. But anything to do with the legal side, the conveyancing side, then obviously Richard's team, specialists, they know the legal rules far better than we do in those processes, and it's right that they should do it.
And we shouldn't be surprised, should we? Because actually, if you are getting these deals through quicker anyway, there is less time for things to go wrong outside of your control anyway. So again, it does make total sense.
Yeah, I think it's being alert to the problem, because we all know things are going to go wrong. Of course they will.
Yeah.
But it's about being alert to that fact and dealing with it quickly. That's what gives the customer the good experience, or minimises the bad experience, because we all know it can go horribly wrong in conveyancing terms when you're dealing with a chain of people you don't know and you can't control and all this kind of stuff. So actually being close enough to it so that we know what's going on, that nanosecond before our customer does, really important. So we're not caught on the back foot. Perfect.
That's what you want to hear, Richard?
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
If only all our guests were that good. Okay, Nick, I'll tell you what would be really useful to understand. How did ASAP get on your radar? Did a few of your franchisees start using it, and then that seeped up? Was it you yourself, or?
That's a very good question. It takes me way back to 2014, I think it does. So
actually, if it's a long story,
that's it. Get your slippers on. So I was running the York YouMove franchise, launched at the beginning of 2014, and I got a phone call out of the blue from a chap called Tony Hill, and he said, "I've got a cracking idea for conveyancing and sales progression and all this sort of stuff. Can I come and talk to you?" So I thought, why not? So I met Tony in a coffee shop in York, and I started working with him, just YouMove York and ASAP. So it was a one-to-one relationship. Nobody else in YouMove knew anything about ASAP. But one of I think it was our Christmas conferences, I think that year, or maybe the summer one the following, I introduced ASAP to the YouMove network, and very slowly over time, as ASAP have grown and scaled their business, and YouMove have been growing and scaling our business, we've become very much more embedded, so much so it is now a core part of the proposition right across the YouMove network.
Excellent.
I was actually there at that coffee, but I obviously made an impression with you, Nick.
Well, I just remember you were there, and I remember I was meeting somebody else before. It was my little office at the time, it's a little coffee shop, and I was talking to somebody else, and then I could see Richard and Tony coming, sitting down. They look like a pair of mafioso types. It must be them.
You didn't do that really whorish thing, did you, Nick? It wasn't a competitor beforehand. It's like, just wait 2 minutes while I do. I always like that, just to keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say, without being too teary-eyed, I mean, I'll never forget that. Tony phoned me and said, "I've just made a cold call to this guy, a company called YouMove." This is nearly it probably is 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So we did meet him. So, I mean, on the record, thank you, Nick, for today, but also for all your support over the last 6 years. Nick has always been a massive advocate, both as a franchisee and helping other franchisees at the time, introducing us, and subsequently as the MD has been, massively supportive. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, I would say on that, actually, we work with a very few number of suppliers, but we, as part of the YouMove proposition, this is why we kind of win all those awards, Simon. It's because we do have very close relationships with all our suppliers, and we don't have many suppliers. And if the relationship isn't working, we will change suppliers, which we do infrequently, but we have been known to do it. So Moneypenny is a good example. They're a very key supplier of ours as well. It's important, and that kind of does demonstrate the reliability and the solidity of the ASAP service. because we have tried as a network before I took on the MD role, other conveyancing solutions, and they just don't work, not in the way that ASAP does.
I think the other benefit is, I mean, Nick and I speak all the time, and we get feedback all the time, and I think in the main it's pretty positive. Well, very positive. But I think the benefit of a strong relationship allows both parties, but especially the client, i.e. you, Move, to ask for things, and because they're such an important client of ours, we will always try deliver, and we'll always try improve, because nobody gets it always right, and as a business we're trying to evolve, because if you stand still, you're not going anywhere.
I think one of the key things there, then, Nick, isn't it, is that actually it's very nice, and it is lovely to hear that talking about, but it's great when actually it's made easy, isn't it, when a supplier is delivering, isn't it? By definition, it's almost, I always used to remember that, with our close partners at the CRM company, it felt great to be able to introduce a product that you knew and a supplier that was going to help those people out. You give that recommendation reservedly, but when you do it, it's with strength and with real feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think the individuals, the characters behind organisations are really important as well, because when things go wrong, and things do go wrong, whether it's with the likes of Rightmove, massive organisation, or whether it's with ASAP or the company that helps us with our PPC management, it doesn't really matter. If you can talk to those people very genuinely and honestly, and work out how you're going to fix your problem, well, it's fine. Businesses face problems all the time. But trying to cover things up and hide things doesn't work for me. And all of the relationships we have, they're very open and very honest, and that's what I like. And Richard and Tony are two characters who are very open and honest, which makes life very easy.
I mean, I think just to sort of follow on from that, if we're having a sort of honesty session, all parties, during lockdown, post-lockdown, the massive hike in sales activity, Whaley's just gone, but I'll continue. You're getting robbed, Whaley. You looked a bit nervous there.
Do you know what it was? My neighbour was just offering me a cup of tea.
Taking a pity on you.
Yeah, I thought it was
I've lost my train of thought.
I'll get to the stage when I've got that bad exposure. I'll just put my hand in the tea.
This is a message to the audience, whether it's 1, 20 or 30. Having a webinar with Simon Whale is both fun and challenging.
I always guarantee that you'll come out looking better than me. That's the Whale promise.
I'm not entirely sure on that one, mate. But no, just to continue that theme, all businesses involved in property over this piece have been under a lot of pressure. So some of the chats that Nick and I have, Nick's very analytical, as you would expect. We drill into the numbers, and what we're trying to look at is I suppose, the pressure that we're all under, but also the context. So we've been looking at things like pipeline turnover, which is a massive issue for agents at the moment. I mean, I heard a stat a couple of weeks ago. Some agents are turning over about 15% of their pipeline. Pre-COVID, we were about 34% against the market average of 27%, slightly lower. Where currently, at the height of COVID, we were 11%. And, figures like that make my eyes bleed. But we're coming back out the other side. And we're about 23, 24%, which is not where we want to be. But in the context of the market, we're making a difference. And Nick's always said things like that in terms of turning over. When he speaks to his franchisees, he's talking about the business and their numbers, and being able to turn over a pipeline quicker has got a massive impact in terms of their cash flow. And let's face it, lots of agents at the moment have got issues with cash flow because they just can't get the transactions out.
Yeah. And actually, if you put that into simple terms, if you're taking 3 months to get a house from start to finish, you can turn your pipeline over 4 times a year, pretty much crudely. Or it takes you 4 months, that's only 3 times a year. And if you've got a pipeline value at any one time of 100 grand, that's the difference between making 300 grand a year or 400 grand a year. That's massive. It really is.
I used to make the point at my previous company, Nick, that there's many suppliers, but there's few partners to the business. Yeah. It's very strongly you're saying that you do genuinely see these guys as in that special category that you've just mentioned, the likes of Penny, unsurprisingly, there that you can. And what's important there, what you were talking about, you can have those honest conversations when there is a challenge, and it builds up a positive debit, doesn't it, in your relationship there? So that, you know, when you're delivering in the good times, if you do get the skids at any time, you've got a bit in the bank to resolve things and get them right again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, one of the challenges we had, and I had a discussion with Nick and quite a lot of the franchises 2 or 3 months ago. I mean, what we didn't predict as a business, but I don't think anybody did. So, you know, I'm not beating myself up on it. But when the market came back, you know, once lockdown was eased, the market came back with such strength. I mean, I'm not going to share them because that's for Nick, but some of the U-Move numbers, August, September, October, were just unbelievable. Well, I don't know what it was, Nick, but maybe 200% up. So the market came back with such a bang. But what we realized quite quickly is we had to recruit. So over the last sort of 2 or 3 months, we've onboarded about 15 people into the business, which in itself is a challenge. But it's something we had to do. And just to keep a pace of the volumes coming into the business, not in terms of new instructions or new clients, because we've got quite a strategic way of onboarding people, but purely in terms of the uplift from existing clients. So that's been a challenge. But we've put solutions in place to get ahead of the curve. And we've now got capacity, with excess capacity in the business, as opposed to running at 96%, which is just a bit too close to the line as far as I'm concerned.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, because this must have been just an incredible period for you, obviously. But growing pains, by definition, you don't grow the business arithmetically like that, do you? It stops and starts, and actually, it's hard to onboard quality staff in that time period normally.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to 3 recruitment agencies that we work with: Crooks Careers, JS Recruitment, and Humphreys Group. So we have heavily relied on our recruitment agents to put really good people in front of us, but we're only recruiting experienced sales progressors, and we'll continue to do that.
How do you see the relation developing, Nick? Is it just more of the same, or do you see it evolving at all?
Well, we are looking at various sort of tech solutions as well. So, customers can see more visually how things are progressing and bits and bobs like that. But in actual fact, we do have something slightly different with ASAP already, in that because we put so much volume through these guys, we do have a dedicated team of people at ASAP just working on U-Move accounts. So we are very closely integrated already from that perspective.
Great. We've got a couple of testimonials here our team has just put up here that we've got for you. They're constant professional updates, the speed of getting from sale instruction to completion. Paul Votter there, sales and lettings.
Thank you.
And then I've just got rid of you, Richard, just for a second, but I'm sure you won't mind. Working closely with ASP has helped us streamline certain processes within our business, freeing up lots of time normally spent conducting various labour-intensive tasks such as AML and standard sales progression follow-ups. This change has allowed our consultants focus more of their time completing work, which is more advantageous for our clients and their goals, thus allowing us to convert more business more efficiently and ultimately to the benefit of the clients. And there's a full review there actually on the website. And actually, Simon here from one of your team, I think we had him on the show previously, didn't we? Speed, technology, and hands-off management there. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic to hear, isn't it? Validated again there. So your biggest challenge then, Richard, in terms of is it literally just that growth, keeping the growth up and relying on those wonderful recruiters to keep you in, keep the pipeline going?
I think the last sort of 2 or 3 months are probably going to be unique because it wasn't just growth for growth's sakes. It was in the context of lockdown, market explosion, but also, and in fact, you did some research before this happened. I think it was a small proportion of agents that would actually consider outsourcing. Lots of them, forget the big corporates, but lots of them either didn't do it, or sales progression was a role that was absorbed by a neg. So it was not done on a dedicated basis. What we've seen. And there's been lots of commentary. Peter Knight's been very vocal about it, outsourcing full stop and the benefits of. And I think a lot of agents are looking or have looked at their processes. and the side effect has been there's been a big spotlight on things like sales progression. So I think the market, full stop, has grown, or the appetite for sales progression has grown. But in terms of our challenges, I mean, we'll continue to. I've lost my train of thought. We'll continue to.
I thought you were going to blame me on the technology there. I was like, oh God, I've lost it.
No, sorry, no, that wasn't me. My screen froze. I beg your pardon. I think in terms of growth, moving forward, that's going to be in our hands. I felt post-lockdown, because our existing clients just exploded, we weren't necessarily in control. So what we've done over the last sort of 2 months, hands up, we've had to run to try and keep ahead. So as we grow, it will be in a more managed fashion because we'll have a bit more control. I think our challenge is to just to continue to listen to clients. And I mean, I think what's very, very clear to me as we move forward, we're not a tech business. We've never been a tech business. We've got tech behind to help sort of facilitate, but ultimately we're a bums on seats business. And we need to continue to speak to our clients.
And actually, just coming back to your previous question, Simon, about how things have developed over time, I think the answer is they have, and I think this is what I've got a lot of time for Richard and Tony for doing this. So we've changed simple things like electronic ID checks, which means we can check the politically exposed persons list and the terrorism list and all that you can't do when you look at somebody's passport in the front room. Things like that, and we can do it real time. We can get searches, the way we order searches for buyers, that's changed over time. So all of this directly feeds back to what becomes the YouMove customer proposition. So we're able to go out to our clients with a better service in terms of our overall estate agency service, of which then ASAP provide part of it. So I think that continuous innovation and progression is really important. And I think if you could give any advice to any other agents that might be watching this, and that is what Richard was talking about just now, agents are really, really good salespeople. They're good at engaging with their clients, and that's where you earn your dollar as an agent. So why put your resource, whether it's you as an individual agent working on your own as a personal agent, or whether you're running a big branch, whether it's your own or a corporate, doesn't matter. Why use your resource for non-sales activity, which actually is moving into a specialist area, which is why Richard only hires experienced sales progressors. It's not something you just pick up on day one. Refocus that resource on winning new sales business. It'd be crazy.
Well, yeah, actually, absolutely would be crazy. But what's interesting there, you're quite right. To earn your dollar, focus on the sales, get out, win the listing. But you don't get paid that dollar without Richard or the sales progression delivering that through to the state of completion, do you? So that's the two unsurprisingly go hand in glove together, don't they? I think it's interesting as well, Richard, what you were saying there about Peter Knight. And when there was a big debate on outsourcing on one of them, somebody came out and said, I had a terrible experience with an outsourcer, so I won't go down that route again. And that's like saying, you hired a bad employee, so you're never going to employ somebody else again, isn't it? Of course, it is just the case. Just as you would treat the same degree of rigor with employing a staff member, to do your due diligence, and dare I say, do your homework on certain pink sites, check the reviews like the ones we've been talking to, learn as much as you can do by looking at videos of this in between the glitches and everything else, and seeing what ultimately your own clients are saying about the service, because it's very key, isn't it, and very important, I think, to be able to understand exactly what you're going into with something as important as this.
Yeah, I mean, I speak to agents all the time, and outsourcing for the first time, whatever it is, it's not a leap of faith, but it's a journey into the unknown. So, I do speak to agents. We've always done this in house. We pride ourselves on our service. So, our sort of proposition is dip your toe in the water.
Yes.
Have a look at what we do. And if it works for you, let's accelerate it. I mean, our touchwood, we don't have very much attrition with the agents that we work with. We've been working with YouMove and lots of their branches for 6 years. But it's important to recognise when you're speaking to somebody that if it's new and it's never been done before, and let's face it, winning a listing for an agent, blood, sweat and tears. And the idea of giving that hard-won client to a third party, For some people, and I completely get it, can be a challenge or certainly a nerve-wracking process until they actually start delivering on their promises.
But displacing agency inertia is vital for suppliers, isn't it? The amount of times people say, "Oh, I wish I'd been using XYZ service before." Once they're happy with it, well, you've got to take yourself out of your comfort zone if you're going to, get that opportunity cost of benefiting, haven't you? And that will only come, as you said. Now is the perfect time. We've still got a good market in most places, but things will quieten down. Yeah. We've obviously got the run up to Christmas now. It could be that this then, at a time now where we are setting our stall and our budgets and guides for 2021, ASAP could be very firmly at the centre of some of those plans, couldn't they? But they need to find out if it is a service, first of all, that works.
Yeah, I mean, I think, sorry, Nick, you crack on.
Well, I was going to say, I've worked in outsourcing on both sides of the fence in various parts of my career. And, what you find generally with many companies is if they're not making the profits that they want to make, they start stripping out costs, which actually is a slow salami slice to death. What a company should be doing is focusing on growing revenue and having an appropriate cost base for that revenue. And that doesn't necessarily mean outsourcing becomes the right answer for most of those occasions. So focusing on that revenue growth comes back to pointing your resources towards the sales and revenue generating activity, not stripping out costs. And actually, Richard, I know Simon's frozen at the moment.
Either that or gone to sleep.
But actually, our relationship with you is not a cost one, because in actual fact, it's a revenue generator for us anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is he back?
I wasn't going to disappear before I delivered the kerfuffle deal, believe me.
But unfortunately, your screen froze just as your eyes were closed, so it looked like Nick had put you to sleep.
Never. The day I fall asleep with an award-winning agent is not here, my friend.
So Nick was just talking about the sort of revenue opportunities. For those that are not familiar with the business, we bulk conveyancing with sales progression for those agents that don't have a legal solution in place and or are up for a conversation about conveyances. But basically, we get the seller or the buyer. We pay a referral fee on those cases where our recommended solicitors are instructed.
Yeah.
And sales progression's free. Lots of aid, and we'll convert about 60% of the referrals that come in. For those agents, and that's a lot, who want us to manage their whole pipeline, by definition, 40% won't have our seller or buyer using one of our recommended solicitors. So we basically have a sales progression fee, but on a no sale, no fee basis. But because we're converting the referrals at 55, 60%, the income from the referrals far outweighs the cost of sales progression. So the net effect is income every month. So for the vast majority of agents we work with where our solicitors are involved, we're paying them for the pleasure of doing their sales progression.
Yeah. Which is perfect. Yeah, because then essentially that resource that you free up point towards sales, and you got a double bonus.
Absolutely. And look, the only way you do get past that inertia, isn't it, is by those stats you were just talking about, Nick. That's the thing that will actually make people open up. Once it's delivered by you, dare I say it, rather than the supplier, so that you can just stack on it, turning your pipe around, less of it falling out of the pipeline as well, just as important. So it's a win-win all round. All right, Rich, are you going to deliver the wonderful deal to our kerfuffle members, or you better do it, just because I might lose connection.
Well, there it is. I'm still on the screen.
In fact, I'll do it then. Okay, you look at you're getting all shy and coy now. Yeah, well, look, obviously 50% off sales progression services for the first 3 months. What could be a bet? Oh, look, now he puts it on. You whore. Look, obviously give it a go. This is the perfect time to try it. Give them a few cases, and I think that's wonderful. You quite like that, don't you? They think they're being a bit clever, giving you a few difficult cases, and actually you impress them so much that they actually stay on and put the vast majority of cases through you.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, our retention rate is really good. But as I say, I understand the jump from in-house to outsourcing. I think Nick has put it far more succinctly than I could, but I think there are lots of reasons why an agent should at least consider it. But until they actually do it and see the benefits of it, then I can understand their reticence. But Nick and I look at the numbers all the time. So when I am speaking to an agent, I try not to be overly salesy, but ultimately it's my business. So if I don't sell it, who is going to sell it?
Yeah.
But the numbers do stack up, and we are looking at a sort of market average from sale agreed to exchange of about 160 days in the market across the country. We're currently about 85 days. So I'm very, very confident in the numbers and how much quicker we get cases over the line.
Well, you've heard it there, guys. There's a perfect measurable metric there. If you're doing better than them, don't bring me a phone, Richard.
That's an average.
Yeah, I get how averages work. So just
don't end on a negative.
If you're above, no, I'm not. It's not started raining yet. If you're above that line anyway. The key thing as well, you said though, Richard, this is about flexibility, isn't it? What happens when your sales progressor goes away on holiday? Just in the old goes under the bus, falls ill, whatever else here. To have a burst capability like you as well is just as important for a smooth business transition, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to agents that have got fairly large in-house sales progression operate. So, we're not insisting that you use our solicitors, you use our sales progression all the time. So, yeah, we're speaking to businesses that are spiking. They've got no intention of outsourcing all the sales progression, but they want us in their locker for overflow cases, and that's fine by us. As I said, it's about listening to what an agent needs, and each individual agent will have a different requirement.
Spot on. Okay, well, sorry, I absolutely can't believe after saying how award obsessed I am. Of course, Richard, you were awarded as well at EA Masters, of course, to be in the top 40 with your proposition. So, I've got 2 award winners and me. Anyway,
I didn't want to say anything, Simon. We also got an award at the EA Masters. We were medium-sized bronze supplier, which both awards we were chuffed to bits with. I know, Nick, you got a gold, but there you go.
You know what? You shrink those bronzes. The bronzes look like gold if you shrink them enough. I know that.
I'll just deduct the word bronze then, shall I? Peter Knight might have something to say about that. There you go.
And await the call from Peter. Great, Nick. Great to talk to you again. Obviously, always fantastic hearing how UMO's developing and just just such an impressive organisation. As are obviously you, Richard. Thanks again for coming on and thanks for bearing with me. And I'm going to go and find a bush to huddle up in. That sounds horrible, doesn't it?
Simon, thank you so much for having me, Nick, and thank you so much for.
No, you're very welcome. Good to talk to you guys. Thank you.